Good morning and welcome. This is Everyday Shenanigans and warm greetings from the High 10. I'd like to discuss information that was relayed on Molly Golightly's channel yesterday, and it was some very good information that was revealed. So if you need a reference to the information that I'm bringing to you, you can tread over to her channel for the said information. It's information that was gathered uh, by different sources. Hello, Diamond Dozen. Hey, let me say this starting out. Um, One thing about people who talk to other people about whatever the situation is, there's once it gets out and back to the said person who was doing the talking, they're going to know who said whatever. So, what I'm going to say is that I pray and hope that nothing happens to the persons who relate this information. Um, to these said people that brought this to Miss Molly, because you see, anything can happen when you're dealing with people who are dealing with drugs. They may want to get someone to intimidate somebody. Trust me, the Queen already knows. I already had to relay some of that to you all last night in a brief commentary that there are people who think they can get away with intimidating people. They may send little messages either to you directly, or they might do something to you, such as your house, your home, your car. So you have to be very careful with saying anything, complaining about anything. Queen knows the game. So I'm just going to pray that nothing happens to anybody that's been giving it any information in this case in general and any other situation cases, because you do have bullies and crazy people out here. So you have to be very careful what you say and repeat to people in confidence. And once it makes it to social media, it can be a very dangerous situation. But anyway, I want to go into the details of what was said in her video. I may have left some things out because I was moving around while I was playing her commentary. But let's start off with, as I state, more than likely, Monica will know who the persons are, who she's spoken to, that's been relaying messages that are now making it to social media. Um, it was said that the kids never came outside. Very sad to me. COVID or not, people are venturing out, people are going places, people are traveling, people are visiting friends, family, they go to the grocery store, they go to the park. um, there's just no reasoning for a child to be inside of a house, especially in the state of Texas where the climate is warmer than most states. It's quite pathetic, actually. So what I have to ask myself is, did Monica Sherrod ever take those said children and her own children outside anywhere, to the park, the zoo, anything that was open in the state of Texas? Did she ever take those two twins and her own children out for any type of enjoyment? And I'm going to go on and answer for her. I don't think so. Because if we are to believe that she is a drug user, her love would be the act of getting high, not going out, doing anything enjoyable, either for herself or for her children. The fact that there were different men dating different men. Well, one could say, well, she's grown, she can do what you want. But as I've always said, what you do as a single person is not what you do when you have children. Because you see, you will be talked about either way. If you're a single woman and you partake with different men and they actually come to your home, there's always going to be somebody that's going to watch, going to look, going to repeat. Now, you have children. They're going to watch, they're going to look, they're going to repeat. It is not a good look to have different men going in and out of your home, especially when you have children, because one, 9 times out of 10, you probably don't know them very well. And then you move them in, let's say. Now they're inside of your house, slumbering, eating, sloughing off dead skin cells in your house alongside your children. So now they're in there with your kids. And now you have a stranger in there with your kids. And you don't know who you have inside there with your kids and yourself. And 9 times out of 10, if she is a user, she brought a user in her house. Stay woke. Stay woke. And it is not to say that people use drugs can harm children. be sadists, rapists, child predators. But the point is, you don't know them. And that rule goes for anyone, whether they use narcotics or not. You don't know them. So you're risking the safety of yourself and the people, inhabitants of your household. And it makes no sense to have different men running in and out of your house with children. Like I said, what you do as a single person is one thing, but with children, there's just a certain lifestyle you just cannot have, and it's a frivolous one. You can't have it. You can do it, of course, but it's not recommended. Hello, everybody in the chat. It's not recommended. So we have to ask ourselves, with the different men running in and out of the house, did any of them ever do anything to the boys or her other children? When was the last time she had a new man staying at her house? And once again, a rumor was mentioned in the said commentary that Trevor possibly had been there only a few weeks. We don't know what is the truth, because I don't believe we can ever believe anything that comes out of the mouth of Miss Sherrod. So as I stated, when was the last time she had male company staying at her house? When was the last time Trevor Gurnan actually stayed in the house? It is also related in the said commentary that Miss Sherrod told this person that Trevor said she could have the kids. Now, once again, I think most of us who have followed this story and the content revealed in various news articles, social media posts, different people giving commentary pertaining to Miss Sherrod, you cannot believe anything that she says. So, and it was also relayed that she is not a truthful person. She lies. So what is the truth? What man would say you can have my kids? And either way, if you believe that comment or not, he is not to be trusted, Trevor, because he left them in her care and kept it moving. So does it matter if he told her she could have the kids? Because no decent human would have left their children in that environment. Now that we have seen how she lives, we now have people coming forward giving commentary how the house looks on the outside. That was also mentioned in this commentary on Miss Molly's channel. So he knew better than anybody, because he dated the woman and he stayed in her house allegedly, had been in her house. So he knew how she lived. He knew of her, and he knew what he was leaving his children in. So it's foul either way, because he had no business leaving his children there with Miss Sherrod for however long he left them. It was wrong. He should have took the necessary provisions to get his children to a safer environment if he decided he no longer wanted to take care of his children. Like I said, it was mentioned that she lies. So we don't know what to believe. And when you backtrack back to the Daily Mail, you can say to yourself, she was never forthcoming pertaining to her knowledge of Darryinn Brown. So anything anyone brings forth as far as what Miss Sherrod has said to them directly, there's no way you could possibly believe it. And see, that's the thing, what I preach about on my channel is, once a person is caught in one lie, you can never believe anything that they said. And they can actually be telling the truth about this or that, but you're not going to ever know that, because once they've been caught in a lie, why would you believe anything that comes out of their mouth? See, it's like the little boy that cried wolf. When the wolf comes, nobody believes you. Nobody believes you. Maybe Monica Sherrod got tired of the children, because in this commentary we hear that Darryinn and his brother Anthony stayed there for a year, however long, came and went. So what we have to ask ourselves is this: how long were they at the house? How did they get to the house? How were they placed at the house? Why that house? Did the kids go stay at that house? Darryinn and his brother and whomever else in the neighborhood. It was mentioned that they were eating her out of a house and home. So obviously she repeated this to somebody. That part was probably true. That probably was the most truthful thing she probably ever said about anybody. So once again, how did you take care of them? Were they mandated by the state? Because we know the state will pay you a stipend for taking care of a child, children in your home. So were they foster children? But I doubt that she would have gotten kids because she has a criminal background. And I refuse to believe the state of Texas would place children in her care due to her drug uses, possession of drugs, and criminal background. So how did the boys, Darryinn, his brother, or whomever, get in her care? Where were their parents at? So let's say the state didn't place them there. Who the hell would just give their kids over to this lady? So now we have to ask ourselves, did Mimi Brown know Monica Sherrod? So I'm going to ask you, Mimi Brown, do you know Monica Sherrod? Did you have some type of dealings with her? Did you have some type of dealings with Monica Sherrod? Because now we have to ask ourselves, and we are to believe this commentary, how did Darryinn, his brother, get in the care of Monica Sherrod, a woman with a criminal background and possession of drugs, which proves to us she is a user. And even if she's clean, the old staple is once an addict, always an addict. And an addict will tell you that, whether they are clean or not. How did the boys get to her care? How long were they in her care? What all happened while they were in her care? Where did, hell, let's just go here. Where does Darryinn actually live? Does he live with his mother? I brought you content that states that he lives with his mother or was living with Miss Brown at the time of the abduction and murder of Cash Gurdon. So we have to ask ourselves, what the hell was actually going on with Miss Sherrod and Darryinn Brown and his brother and every damn body in the neighborhood? Because as these commentaries come out about Miss Sherrod, her lifestyle, her background, her dealings with different people in the public, you have to ask yourself, who is Monica Sherrod? What has been going on with Monica Sherrod? And also, who is Darryinn Brown? Because in the end, he's a young person. And she had more leverage as an adult. He was still a kid. No matter if we like him or not, we care for the ugly things that he's done and or being accused of. Somebody still reared him. She was an adult. And the way she had been living her life is not the copacetic way to live, but to each its own. As I state, perhaps she got tired of the children, used this guy, set him up to get rid of her kids. Because you see, as I state, why were they there? How did they get there? When was the last time Darryinn Brown actually left that said house? It is believed in commentary from the newspaper he was there 2 days beforehand. And this is information that Miss Sherrod scooped up and brought up after talking to the Daily Mail, which she never in that article interview told the Daily Mail she knew of Darryinn Brown. So what we have to ask ourselves once again, when was the last time Darryinn Brown was actually in her house? And what actually happened between she and Darryinn Brown, or Darryinn Brown and the participants in the house, for her to say she didn't want him back at her house? Because you see, now that we have this commentary and verification that someone has seen him coming and going out of her house in the past year, couple of days, whichsoever, days before the child's death, we have to ask ourselves, is that true what she said? She didn't want him at her house. Or was she just saying that because she was caught in a lie and someone brought verification that Darryinn Brown had been in her home? Broken locks and doors. Well, we already knew that from the Daily Mail when Cameron Moore gave us an MTV Cribs tour of this shambled home. So whether you aid breaking and entering, we already know breaking and entering to anyone's home is wrong and unlawful. A person didn't have a problem with going in a place where the damn doors never stayed locked. But as I state, it's still against the law. It's still against the law to enter someone's home. Even if you're known to frequent that house, if you were not invited, once again, it is against the law to enter somebody's house, either opening the door or busting the door open. But this commentary states the house was not in good shape. Doors and locks were not working. So we have to ask ourselves, why not? Why were they not working? Well, once again, if you are using drugs, if we are to believe that she's an addict, she's not going to care about herself, hygiene, food, feeding the kids, paying bills, lawn care, house care inside or outside, mowing the grass, cleaning the gutters. You get where I'm going. Because you have people who work every day and they don't care about their damn house, inside or out. So you know damn well if you're using drugs, you're not going to care about the inside and the outside of your house. Now, I have known people who use narcotics and they kept a clean house. They kept a clean body. They took a bath, washed their hair, but they were and are users. Everyone who uses dope is not the same. You do have a small few of people who maintain their hygiene, but yet they are drug addicts. It was stated the kids had been there a couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so. So is that true? Did they not come there February, Valentine's Day? Had they just got there recently? Had Trevor just got there recently? Had Trevor only been there a couple of weeks himself? And once again, what was the arrangement between he and Miss Sherrod pertaining to the children? Would this man actually just give this woman his kids, not the ruse we heard from her? He missed court, was facing court, facing jail, blah, blah, blah. You know, different versions. Because 1 minute it was he went on the run because of the bonds. He knew he was going to probably do jail time. Then it switched here recently to he missed a court date. So which is it? Or is it both? And did this man, Trevor Gurnan, tell Monica Sherrod she could have his children? Some will probably say, hell yeah, he said it, because look at him. He didn't care about himself. He don't care about his kids. Why not? He didn't come back and get them. So see, everything is up for interpretation. And then you're dealing with a pathological liar 9 times out of 10. So you don't know what the hell to believe coming out of Monica Sherrod's mouth. Let's just keep it true. Let's just keep it real. You don't even know what to believe. The person relays also in this commentary that they were up all night. The participants in the house slept all day. So we know this is relevant with active drug users. They sleep all day because they've been up all night into the wee hours. Walking, running, getting high, sending people to get the dope, going out to look for the dope, having the dope delivered, however it goes. It's a hustle. It's a job for those of you who have never sold drugs or used drugs. You don't sleep because the hustle is greater. The hustle is greater. So I could see Miss Sherrod being up all night. I could see her having foot traffic because that's what users do. They gather and they hunt, such as an animal. It's also stated, lots of people coming in and out, lots of traffic, lots of cars coming and going, people staying for 2 days, a couple weeks at a time. Who are these people? Other drug users? Is this a trap house? Because now that we hear someone saying there's a lot of traffic coming and going, different boyfriends, only keeping them at a 6-week interval or however long. Let's just say she was sexually active with different men who came and went, stayed, left, never saw him again. That was mentioned in this commentary. Homegirl was busy and didn't care about those kids, didn't care about herself, didn't care about what the neighbors saw. She was doing she. And that is to be expected of a active drug user. They do not care what you think. They don't care about themselves. What the hell they care about what you're looking at and seeing out of the window. You're watering the grass and you're looking over. Damn, here comes another car. Here comes another car. You get my drift? They don't care. And I won't doubt that the traffic scene coming and going out of Monica Sherrod's house was drug traffic. People coming and going, getting high with her, staying the night, staying a few days, staying a few weeks. You know how it goes. Anybody that's familiar with the life, you know how the game goes. It was also stated that the grandparents lived there. So we have to ask ourselves, when was the last time that her mother, father, mother, stepmother, whomever, stayed at that home with the two kids that they had? Why were they there? How long were they there? Why did they leave? We've heard commentary that they were there. Some people think the pictures that have been floating around lately on social media, that's part of the house that we didn't see. Don't have any verification of that. It looked kind of crowded too, but it still had more decoration than what we saw with the tour that Mr. Maury gave. But once again, why were her parents living with her? Why did they move? And when was the last time they were there with their two children? The fact that he said she's a very good liar, that means she has been talking to this dead person in persons. That means she has spun webs to these people. And we have to ask ourselves why. Why is she talking to these people? Why is she telling them her personal business? We know that 9 times out of 10, most people really don't care about your business. And when it's felonious behavior, ghetto ratchet behavior, people tend not to care unless they're down with the type of life that you're living. So why was she spinning these webs to people about Trevor, the kids, having Darryinn and his brother there, eating her out of a house and home? Well, as I state, kids got to eat. And as I brought you all commentary earlier pertaining to this case, how was she maintaining before Cash passed away? How were you taking care of your children plus the twins? Because as I suspected, 9 times out of 10, she was getting aid from the state of Texas for her 4 children, if indeed they all were there. So that's medical, food stamps, housing perhaps, Section 8 housing, HUD, whichsoever, because so far there has been no mention of employment in either content I've brought to you: news, agents, Daily Mail, The Sun, local news stations. No one has ever verified she holds down full-time or part-time employment. So you have to ask yourselves, how was she living in a home to pay rent, lights, gas, mortgage, if indeed there was a mortgage, food, groceries, medical supplies, maintenance on the house, all of that without income? Did she go out and get aid for those 2 baby boys? Did he leave her documentations to get food stamps, medical for those 2 children? Or hell, did he even care to have those documentations for those children before he met Miss Sherrod and or got with Miss Sherrod while having the kids? Who was getting aid for Cash and Carter? It is not nice to group all people into boxes, such as drug addicts. But what we have to ask ourselves is that a lot of people who are using drugs will become liars, because as I state, the hustle is greater. So you will have to lie, steal, manipulate, con to get the drugs. So even if you started out a very nice, mild-mannered, decent person, high-strung, whichsoever, 9 times out of 10, you will probably become a liar because you're going to have to hustle to get the drugs. And it was stated that she's a very good liar, and most addicts probably do lie. And that's a sad thing to say about a person. But it's the truth. Trevor had a court date yesterday. What happened with the court date? Did he bond out? Let me talk about that briefly, because I mentioned something about this a week ago. The judge should have his or her tail beat, because this man had 5 bonds. So that means he was on the run, didn't care about showing up to court and handling his business. The fact he had 5 bonds before being apprehended last week shows you his character. He doesn't care about himself. He accrued these charges while parenting Cash and Carter. So he never cared about himself. He never cared about the boys. And a judge was stupid to continuously keep giving him bond after bond after bond on top of bonds. So you were wrong 5 times ago. You're wrong to give him a bond this time. He doesn't own the right to have a bond. Should just say, you're going to sit here till you go to court and we reach a judgment on your said cases plus this violation of the 5 bonds. He doesn't need a bond, bail, whatever. Sit in jail until you go to court and decide to plea out, however you're going to work it out, Mr. Trevor. But you need to sit your tail down somewhere. And you need a nice little stay in jail anyway because you failed your kids. Because you're now -1. Because you didn't have any business with the kids. And as I state, I don't know much about the baby mother, but I'm not riding on her team either. Because I don't know her. And I don't know how those kids came to be in the possession of Trevor, because everything that has been said in this storyline from the beginning came from the mouth of Monica Sherrod. So therefore, you do not know what is the truth pertaining to how the kids got with Trevor, if the mother ever reached out to those kids, if they denied her to see her children. Did she actually file a police report that her children were missing? No receipts on that yet. See, that's what I'm talking about. Too much time has elapsed pertaining to the death of the child, where there should be numerous receipts of police reports, documentations of aid for the kids, Monica Sherrod's employment, non-employment, how she's taking care of her children. There should be a lot of receipts out by now. I want to thank you all for joining me. This case is sick, just like Cal City, just like Malia Davis, just like so many stories you hear every day, just like the kid in Nevada, the new kid that was found dumped in Nevada. They're all the same. And the reason that they're the same is because the people who were taking care of the kids checked out. And these stories are going to remain the same. It's never going to change. You're going to keep getting ghetto ratchet stories about missing and dead children until these buffoons decide to stop procreating and having kids. Because we are now relying on random strangers, neighbors, family members, passerbyers, the state, to rear children, to watch out for children. And it doesn't work that way, because you can't expect strangers to watch out for children. There are people who don't want to get involved. They don't want their names involved in any type of mischievous activities pertaining to neglect, abuse, crimes, murder pertaining to children. It happens every day. Sadly, it happens every day. This was very good information that was revealed on Molly's channel. And it was to be expected, because we already had an idea that Monica Sherrod is not above board. She's not a proper person nor a proper parent. She had no business herself having children. Trevor and that girl, baby mama, I'm going to go ahead and say it, her too, had no business having the kids. So we have to even wonder about the other 2 that he allegedly has with this lady, if they're in good care, being taken care of. We have to pray that Carter is being reared properly now, that the ball won't be dropped again against him. Because I'm leery for this child's safety, the remaining twin. I'm going to say this, like I said before in my previous commentary pertaining to Darryinn Brown. The more information that comes out about Monica Sherrod that is negative, it only gives the defense a better case to preserve the life of Darryinn Brown against capital murder. I think most of you know this. You see, all this little he said, she said about Monica's life, her house, the comings and goings, Darryinn Brown running in and out of there with his brother, Pookie Ray Ray. You see, you're helping the defense every time you speak and tell what happened in Monica Sherrod's house. And Mr. Heath will get information And there will be people who will break their neck to give information pertaining to Monica Sherrod because she set this up, you see. Whether this is a setup to frying Darryinn Brown or Darryinn Brown did this all on his own, either way, the information is out now. And it's going to continue to come out because that's what happens when people are out here doing frivolous things. Eventually, those bones start to slide their way up under the door from the closet and they make their way to the public. And that is what's happening now. Monica Sherrod's bones have fallen out of the closet. And I'm sure it would only get worse. It will get worse. We will probably hear all kinds of things about her. There'll probably be other men, women telling stories of doing things with her that are probably not so nice, private things, secretive things, but that is to be expected because you have a dead baby now. You have a dead baby. And most people don't care for children being harmed. So most people probably won't mind spilling the tea pertaining to Monica Sherrod's activities, her son's activities, other children's activities. Was also said in the commentary that they only believe that Monica and Cameron are the only two parties living at the house. As I said, she doesn't need anything from anyone because there's nobody there. He's old enough to take care of himself, get a job. So it's really just her. And we've already seen that she doesn't look like she cares much about herself, her hygiene, her appearance. So it doesn't matter. So worrying yourself about an addict and giving money to cash apps and GoFundMe, plural, is atrocious. I wouldn't give her a dime because she was taking care of herself and children before Cash Gurnan was kidnapped and murdered. So therefore, how were you living before Monica Sherrod? I don't know what's going on. What is the truth pertaining to Darryinn Brown? This house of lies, house of shame, trap house. I wanted to put trap house up on my title, but I said, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't have verification that it is actually a trap house. So I'm going to be nice and just say the house of lies. Because indeed, that house is the house of lies. And possibly the house of horror as well, because we really don't know what was going on in that said house. We got rumors day one from her own father of child molestation, of Cash, someone there filming the horror of a kidnapping, but no name drop, no second arrest pertaining to that person allegedly filming, just charges against Darryinn Brown. This is shameful. This is shameful and it's sickening and it's sad because these children deserve a better life than what was given to them. And her children also deserve a better life. And that's something most of us don't talk about. So you see, the Queen touches on every subject matter pertaining to a story. What about Monica's children? Since her house is the subject of Miss Molly's video, what about her kids? What have they endured before Cash and Carter got there? Because if we're to believe she keeps company with men, women, it's a trap house, drug house, trafficking of drugs, selling, using. What was going on with her children? See, you don't talk about that. Were her children being sexually assaulted? What did her children see inside of that house? Did they go places, do things? Did she take them out? Engage her children in extracurricular activities such as baseball games, football games, track and field, soccer, volleyball. Take them to the movies, take them on day trips. Did she buy them clothes? Did they even have decent clothes? See, nobody's asking what is obvious. As I state, the beginning of the story. How was she living in that house, maintaining financially, spiritually with her children? Was there more hanky-panky going on in her house pertaining to her children and also the twins? Was felonious behavior going on against all children in Monica Sherrod's house? What other children have stayed in her house? Because you see, when you have different people trafficking in a house, anything can pop off. I think most of you know this. There's going to be cases of theft, people not wanting to leave, people tearing up your stuff, vandalizing stuff, arguments, disagreements, assault, physical assaults, sexual assaults, because you got different people going in and out. So who's to say people coming in and out weren't abusing Monica's children physically, sexually, doing the same to Cash and Carter? Who's to say her own kids weren't assaulting the children, hitting them, punching them, or touching them inappropriately? You see, you'll never know, because who's going to tell the truth? Hello, Shirley. This lady had a lot going on. And I'm telling you, if we were to go back in time and be a fly on the wall, we probably would fall off the wall. Because there's no telling what the hell was going on in Monica Sherrod's house. So once again, I'm going to ask the ultimate question before I check out of here. Monica Sherrod, what happened for you to turn on Darryinn Brown? Because you see, I think that's what's the key to why Cash Darryinn is no longer alive. Stay woke. You ran out of breath to defend him in February against a neighbor who stated that Darryinn tried to kidnap his grandchild. You never came forward to the Daily Mail to say you knew Darryinn Brown, you or your son. Never told the public that he stayed with you while you were running out of breath talking to the Daily Mail. Don't you think that was pertinent information, Miss Sherrod? That you knew him, you kept him in your house, you fed him, he slept there, he knew your kids, played with your kids. That was mentioned in her commentary on my channel, that he played with the children, he and his brother. So once again, what happened between you and Darryinn Brown? See, somebody came forward and let it be known that you knew him. That's why most of the content I brought, it keeps saying, we are trying to establish the relationship between Monica Sherrod and Darryinn Brown. That's because somebody's been talking. Somebody went forward and told the detectives that Darryinn has been coming to your house, was in your house, visiting, staying, whichsoever. His brother, Pookie, Ray, cousins, it's all the same. So you had to double back to say, oh yeah, 2 days beforehand, I told him I didn't want him at my house. We don't even know if that's the truth or not. We don't really know if Darryinn Brown was there 2 days before, because we can't believe anything that comes out of the mouth of Monica Sherrod. But perhaps he was there 2 days before. One thing we do know, he was there the morning of the kidnapping and death of Cash Darryinn. But what happened between Darryinn Brown and Monica Sherrod for her to give that commentary? I said, I want you out. I don't want you here. However it was worded. Or basically, it was, I don't want you. You see, that's not the same as, I don't want you here. I don't want you around my kids. I don't want you leads one to think there was something personal going on between Miss Sherrod and Darryinn Brown. And perhaps there was nothing felonious, sexual in nature between she and this 18-year-old kid. But when you're dealing with narcotics, it is also believed that he was using drugs as well. Anything is possible. That will be my next live, where I will have the panel discussion. What actually happened between Darryinn Brown and Monica Sherrod? Because we have to believe her statement. She told him she did not want him there 2 days before Cash's death. we have to ask ourselves, why? Why not? What happened from February to May 15th? You're running out of breath to aid him, taking up for him on an attempted kidnapping charge of a child. So what the hell went wrong from February 2021 to May 15th, 2021? Monica Sherrod, I believe you are a filthy, filthy female, and you do not care about yourself. You do not care about the welfare of your children. And rightfully so, the state came and got them a second time to our knowledge, because you have not been living right. You have not been living right in your home. You have not done right by your children. You are a problem. And you are what's wrong with the world. This is why we have the problems we have in our country and abroad. People on drugs, because people on drugs cause a massive amount of trouble. This is where we get stolen cars, home burglaries, theft of property, physical assaults, because you people go out here and get high and geeked up, and you go out here and you want to rob and steal and beat people up, set them up to get the bag. But you see, you're not worthy of the bag, because you need to go out here and carry your tail to work and get it like everybody else. Thank you, Ms. Molly, for the content on your channel. If you all need verification for the information I'm bringing to you, this is just a brief synopsis from Molly Golightly's channel. I wanted to discuss it because I felt like it was pertinent information, because in the end, it's these little secrets, stories, versions that will come out in Darrynn's trial, because Mr. Heath Harris has a job to do in defending Darryinn Brown. He will do whatever he needs to do to get that man off, to get a plea, to get a lesser charge, however it goes, depending on the evidence brought before the court against Darryinn Brown. So all these little details, they will be mentioned, because he will have an investigator go out and do the same thing that people are doing on social media. He will get an investigator to go out into the belly of the beast, into the abyss, and find out anything he can find out on Monica Sherrod, Darrynn's lifestyle, his parents, how he was raised and reared, everything he's ever done. All that's going to come out. And if anybody has any bones, they're going to come out as well. So anything you thought was secret, possibly will come to light. And it will come to light in a courtroom, the worst place for your life to be exposed. That and the news. Hello, everybody in the chat. You see, it is sad to say, Cash Gurney was the ultimate sacrifice. You see, sometimes things have to happen terrible, heinous, for the truth to come out. And I believe this was God's way of showing Monica Sherrod he was tired of the shenanigans with her. The baby was the ultimate sacrifice, you see. Of the lies, the manipulations of the parents, caretakers, drug use, felonious behavior, he was the ultimate sacrifice for the truth to be revealed about Trevor Gurney and Monica Sherrod, you see. This baby paid the piper for the truth to finally come out about how Monica was living, how Darryinn Brown has been living. And that's the sad, most atrocious part of this story, is that a baby had to be bludgeoned to death for the truth to finally come out about a wayward 18-year-old walking the streets looking for trouble, and a woman who had a house full of people coming and going, and children, taking in strangers' children, to show she had no business with kids, period, in her possession. Cash Gurdon paid the price for the truth to be revealed of who Monica Sherrod really is, who Trevor Gurdon really is, and possibly their own biological mother, Miss Melinda. I want to thank you all for joining me. God bless all of you. Have a very blessed day. I will go live later with that information pertaining to the state of Texas versus Darryinn Brown. It will be an extension of this said commentary of the House of Lies. What was the relationship between Miss Sherrod and Darryinn Brown? And why did she allegedly say, well, she did say she didn't want him. So we have to ask ourselves, what happened between Monica Sherrod and Darryinn Brown? Please check out Miss Lightly's content, Molly Go Lightly's content. This is where I'm getting this information from. And nonetheless, of what is the truth and not the truth, he said, she said, he said, she said, it doesn't really matter. The point is, this woman was not a good caretaker. She has no children in her possession except for one child is believed to be Cameron, still there. One other child, a twin, is now with a biological mother, allegedly. One child is dead, and the other child is now standing trial for capital murder of the said twin. Can't get any worse than that. Join me later on Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you.